Well, hello friends, it's Wayne Polson coming to you from Heartwood, right next door to SM Heartland, just like the good old days. Folks, it's February 15th, 2025. So what happened? Why has it been since December 10th, since my last video? Folks, to be honest, I wasn't feeling it. I don't want to just keep pumping out videos for the sake of producing videos. So I took a break. I just took a break from it. There were times throughout the last couple of months when I thought, oh yeah, this will be a good video. Oh, that'll be a good, it just couldn't happen. I couldn't make it happen. But what's interesting is back in November, Susie and I decided we were going to try something different. We were losing egg layers. We were down to just 2 egg layers after some of our hens got attacked by predators. And then we lost Ruby, my prize hen. She just died of old age, folks. May God rest her soul. I buried her out in the front yard, 4 feet deep. And the only reason I went 4 feet is because I had dug a hole for a post that I was going to put in and decided not to use it. It made a great grave for her. So RIP there, Ruby. Anyway, we ended up with just 2 egg layers, and so we thought, let's buy some more chicks. But then the idea of buying chickens just didn't appeal to us. We thought, why don't we just take eggs that we're producing here, and why don't we see if we can hatch our own? So I did invest in an incubator, 2 of them, 36 egg incubators, both of them, so potential of 72 eggs. The first one didn't work, and it was an auction deal. I couldn't really take it back, so I put it on the shelf. I can get parts for it and repair it, and I eventually will do that, and I'll probably make a video of it. I bought a second incubator that was working, and I was able to figure it all out. All the instructions were written in Chinglish, so it was kind of hard for me to figure out in the very beginning. I still don't know how it totally works 100%. I just know that for what I'm doing, it works perfectly. So anyway, I said all that to say, back in November, I put 5 eggs in the incubator. I got 2 eggs out of that batch, and it was very interesting because this is the first time doing it. So there were a lot of there were a lot of unknowns on my part. The first egg hatched. I don't know. Let's say.
We got a chick.
We had a little bit of a problem with the second egg. The second egg, which began pipping, that means they poked a hole in the shell from the inside, began pipping, and well, we're looking at it right here, and it sat in this state for probably a day. I mean, it just wasn't progressing through this whole pipping and unzipping process. I think they call it zipping when they break through the whole shell. So at some point I thought, you know what, I need to step in here and I need to assist this hatch. Well, I read up on it, and they say you got to be really careful because you can actually kill the chick in the shell if you're not careful. So I slowly worked at this meticulously over the course of about probably, it might have been about 12 hours, maybe not that long exactly. But yeah, the thing in the back of my mind is, you know, am I going to kill this chick? I've never done this before. So I approached it pretty carefully here. And what you're seeing right now is where I'm just slowly pulling the shell off, trying not to get the membrane, because the membrane is what they say can attach to the veins of the chick. And you don't want to damage those because the chick will bleed to death. So I'm being very careful here. And I'm using a dinner fork that I ended up using that night for steak. So there you go. Susie hasn't seen this video yet, so she doesn't know I used a kitchen fork here, but anyway, it cleans up, folks. It's just an egg. So I continue this process for a while here. We'll just watch this for a little bit. I think right now I'm getting a little bit more aggressive because it's getting later in the morning, and at first I thought, well, if I just open the shell up big enough for it to get its head through or something, maybe it'll do the rest of the work, and it just wasn't doing it. So I keep picking away at the shell. The interesting thing about this, if I turn up the volume on this a little bit, you can actually hear, and by the way, I named this bird Pokey after the fact because I found out later on that this bird is actually a rooster. And because he was late coming out of the shell, I called him Pokey. He actually hatched 2 days later than the first hen which my granddaughter named Tilly. So I don't know what the deal is. I don't know if they're actually like still growing in the I mean, I'm sure they're still growing in the shell, but they only have so much nutrition inside the egg until they hatch. So I don't know at what point they stop growing in this process. But I do know now that since it started hatching kind of a day later, it started pipping a day later, it probably is behind in growth from Tilly. So doesn't matter though, it's a rooster now. I mean, wait till you see the videos of these birds today. It's amazing. So anyway, I'm continuing this process here, and it looks like I'm constantly going in here and poking at this thing, but I've made a lot of cuts in this video to take a lot of the time out of it. So now I'm actually working on the membrane. I'm trying to peel back this membrane and being really careful not to get feathers or whatever the stuff is that they have on their wings, because it's not really like feathers, it's more like a fuzz or a fur. But I'm trying to make sure that I'm not pulling any veins. And again, I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm just trying to do what makes sense. And I wasn't sure if I'd gotten in here early enough. And the reason I started in the first place is because when it was initially pipping through the shell, I could hear it chirping a lot while it was doing that. And then the next day, the chirping subsided. I could still see its beak moving in the opening of the shell. It seemed to me like the bird was just, was losing its thrive, and that maybe I should step in and help it. So, yeah, here we are. Oh, you can see right here, part of the foot has come out of the membrane now. So I left it this way for a while thinking, okay, now you can push with your feet and you'll break through that membrane. No, didn't happen. There were times when I just thought, okay, this thing's going to die right here in the shell, and thankfully it didn't. So another attempt at pulling this membrane off, again very slowly and carefully, looking for any signs of blood. I don't know what I would have done if I saw blood. I guess put a Band-Aid on it. I don't know. Okay, that leg is really sticking out, and part of its wing is sticking out down there in the lower left side. And I'm like, dude, come on out of there. I think it felt like it was just too weak, like it just couldn't push. And normally they don't really have to push, because when they unzip the large end of the egg, and it's like a, it's like, what would you call it? Like a door on a submarine or on a spaceship. This little hatch falls off, and they just kind of roll out of it. In this case, this is not a conventional way for them to hatch, and so chick probably doesn't really have the ability to figure out how to get out of his situation. And it's probably weak. Yep. All right, so going back in again. And the reason I'm dragging you all through this is in case you're the person that's wondering, is it possible to assist in a hatch? And if I do, what do I need to be concerned about? I'm publishing this because I'm showing you what I did. This could be totally unethical and wrong, I don't know. But this is what I did, and I had great results with it. But you got to be careful. Everything, just small steps, and be observant. Watch for stuff that doesn't look right. Don't be in a hurry. The other thing you got to keep in mind too is this is inside the incubator. I've got the top off, so now while I'm doing all of this, that chick is getting colder. And normally the temperature inside the incubator is about 99.6, 99.5, somewhere in that area, degrees Fahrenheit. And the humidity level is up around 70%, something like that. So I'm getting concerned too that this thing's going to just slow down because it's getting cold. And so I'm trying to balance getting this thing out of the shell with keeping it warm. And yeah, it was a challenge. At this point, I'm just trying to figure out, okay, can I just pull the shell back? And I was wanting to prop it up a little bit so that it wouldn't stick its beak down into this mesh floor because there was water under there and I didn't want it to drown, so that's what I just did there. And I thought, okay, I'm going to put it back. I'm just going to stick this thing back in the incubator, get the humidity going, get the heat going, and let this thing soak in the heat and humidity for a while and see if that helps. So when I started seeing all this activity here, I thought, okay, this is going okay. Looks like he's still trying. So I went in for another assist, and there you go. And again, I didn't want to pull that eggshell totally away, just in case there was some connection there that would break and bleed. So I left it. Again, this is Pokey. Here's Pokey drinking water. Probably 2 days after it had hatched, maybe a day after it hatched. And all of his little fuzziness dried up. Once he was dry, I took him out of the incubator and put him in this heated brooder along with Tilly. Look at the little guy. So yeah, he's doing good. I didn't know he was a rooster at this time yet either, but then, look at him now. Yep, that's Pokey right there in front, and Tilly in the back. Actually, this was several weeks ago. They were probably 6 weeks old there. They're about 9, almost 10 weeks old now. So yeah. Well, folks, that's about all that I have in this video. I wanted to show more. We put some more eggs in the incubator in December, and they hatched in January. And so those 2 birds are in the brooder right now. And even as I talk right now, we have 6 eggs in the incubator that I just put in yesterday. So I'm hoping to get a good collection of hens, egg-laying hens out of these eggs so that we can be producing more eggs again throughout the spring and summer. So if you have any questions, if you have any observations, if you have any suggestions, I look forward to seeing them in the comments below. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. It helps me out a lot. This is a secondary source of income besides just collecting my Social Security. So I would appreciate that. Any way that we can promote the channel would be so helpful to Susie and I, to Susie and me. Oh, and if you're not a subscriber, I'd love to see you as a subscriber. So put something in the comments. I'd love to engage with you down there, talk with you down there, talk with you about what's going on here or about anything that's going on here at SM Heartland. And now that I'm done babbling, I'm going to tell you what I always love to tell you, and that is to continue being kind in your neighborhoods, especially be kind to people in your own family. And for crying out loud, just step outside the box a little bit. Find somebody you can't stand and do some act of kindness for that person, would you? I know you will. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Over and out.